This is one of a series of conversations at the Global Knowledge Conference in Kuala Lumpur. Professor Tian Belawati is the Vice Rector of Academic Affairs for Universitas Terbuka, the Open University of Indonesia. Professor Belawati has been co-leading the PANdora Network project, sponsored by the International Development Research Centre for the last 3 years, since 2004. The PANdora Network conducted a study directed by Professor Felix Librero, Chancellor of the University of Philippines Open University. And Professor Belawati has been monitoring the project and is here to discuss the results.
Thank you, John. This project, as part of the PANdora project, is intended to meet several specific objectives to determine the training needs of Asian instructional designers and to develop training modules in instructional design for distance education, to determine the main responsibilities of instructional designers, to determine the scope of design training in Asia, to determine interest in regional ID training courses, and finally to determine the essential ID training course topics. The team has conducted a survey involving respondents in Bhutan, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. And we managed to get responses from about 70 respondents from those countries. One of the results is when we asked them what are the main responsibilities of instructional designers in their institution, about 46% of the instructional designers said that their responsibilities include to design, develop, and evaluate learning materials for distance education. And about 36% of the respondents said that their responsibilities also include providing advice to their colleagues on instructional design. And about 33% of the respondents said that they also have the responsibility to organize and present training for ID and also design lessons and assessment in the instructions. 31% said that they also have to undertake research and evaluation that is probably related also to instructional design, research and evaluation. And 29% said that they have to conduct formative and summative evaluation as well as to conduct need analysis for instructional design. When we asked them to do sub-ratings on their instructional design skills, about 56% said that they have proficient skills for instructional design but still feel that they need additional training. Only about 13% of them said that are very proficient in the field, and about 29% said that yes, they can do ID, but probably also need additional training. Most distance educational institutions provide in-house training for their staff. When we asked them about that, about 30% of the respondents said that their in-house training include content about principles of instructional design. And about 16% said that they develop BE materials and also accreditation for the learning materials. And the remaining said that the content includes, for example, how to conduct tutorials, how to conduct online teaching and learning, how to develop test instruments, about the management of distance education itself, and some need analysis. We also asked them what are the topics that they would like to have if they have to go on further instructional design training. The first topic that they mentioned is the application of theory in instructional design work. And then the second is the selection and use of media and methods for distance education. The third topic was review of technology trends and then evaluation techniques. And the other two components that were mentioned is design of instruction, lesson plan, etc., as well as development of the multimedia materials. The survey made a conclusion that non-formal training in instructional design is a viable option for distance education designers in Asia, and there is an urgent need for ID training, emphasizing the use of ICT in distance education. Also, the need for ID training in the use of mobile technology for course delivery, because mobile technologies are now very in distance education due to flexibility and handiness. And also, the conclusion said that the training conducted by Open University would be preferable to Asian designers than if it is conducted by other agencies. And regional ID training conducted by regional institutions seen as an excellent means for sharing expertise among Asian designers.
The project has shown that the designers lack confidence A lot of them, as you've pointed out, Tian, say that they need more training. They feel fairly proficient, but only 13% feel very proficient. Many of the instructional designers have received training based on material 25 years old, usually American textbooks, which were developed actually not for distance education, but for general instructional design of print materials. So it's easy to understand that instructional designers who've only received that kind of training lack confidence for designing materials for the very different media of internet, web-based and mobile methods.
I think it's very true, and I can understand why they're lacking confidence in their own skills. Because, for example, in my own university, only a very small portion of our instructional designers have a formal degree in instructional design or in educational technology. The rest of the instructional designers, they were just provided in-house training by the university. So we try to integrate the advancement of technology and its use for education in our training content. But we are also lacking experts in this. So what we do is every time we find a new technology that can be used, we integrate it bit by bit to enhance the content of our instructional design training. So it's a little bit piecemeal. We really need to have a comprehensive, up-to-date instructional design curriculum and materials for this new era of distance education.
And of course these problems are not unique to Asian distance education. They are shared in all parts of the world, these same needs for updating design staff. If we go down the list of topics that the Asian designers have said they need, we see some interesting requirements. Number 3, for example, technology trends. They are well aware of pressures to create cell phone-based materials, for example. To what extent has the cell phone method of interacting with online materials been developing in Indonesia?
We are still in the stage using SMS-based communication for distributing academic information, such as the deadline for registration, the due date for assignment, the examination times, or distributing the exam grades. But we haven't been able to really use the SMS-based technology, for example, for providing tutorials. Really looking forward to using the SMS technology more for teaching-learning interactions.
Well, it has become very apparent, hasn't it, that the cell phone will play a major role in Asian distance education because of its ability to get over the problem of widespread lack of internet access. The cell phone gives students and teachers an important means of interacting. One of the other projects that you mentioned, Tian, in the Pandora series relates to learning objects. The instructional designers have been designing new digital materials for a new Asian learning object repository. That lack of confidence that you mentioned that some of them expressed in the survey, it also came out in that project.
I think what we experienced when we developed the learning object materials, it's really in line with the findings of this survey. Because in the learning object materials sub-project, we took 2 different approaches in developing the learning object. In Sukhothai Thammasat Open University, they separate the content experts with the media experts. So where the content expert only developed the content, they took this to the media expert, and the media experts developed the visualization of that content. While at Universitas Terbuka, we took a different approach in a hope that our content expert will also become a media expert. We provided training in authoring tools to design animation, and we were hoping that they could translate the content themselves under the assumption that they know the content better. But apparently, the training was not enough for them, so the visualization was not attractive enough. And as COU also, the communication between the content expert and the media expert, the speaking technical language and the other speaking a very academic language. So instructional designer could really help them to communicate with each other. So I think it's true that they're not confident because they feel like they don't have the skill to do that yet.
Another guest we have today is the other co-leader of the Pandora project, Professor Malik, to comment on this topic.
Thank you, John. Yeah, this is not a new problem. We have domain experts on the one hand and instructional designers on the other. Domain experts do not know much about instructional design, and instructional designers know nothing about the domain. And the question is, who should learn what? Should the instructional designers be taught the subject matter, or should the subject matter experts be trained in instructional design? It seems at the moment it will have to be a team effort with closely integrated teams rather than just provide the specifications and let the instructional designers take over.
The topics that the instructional designers in Professor Ligrero's survey said that they would like to see in training courses: the application of theory, selection of media, technology trends, evaluation techniques, have generated a series of guidebook modules for distance educators which have emerged from all 9 of the projects. Professor Tian Belawati and Professor Naveed Malik, as leaders of this project, have ensured this Asian distinctive quality to this research. Thank you very much, Tian Belawati, who is Vice Rector of Academic Affairs at the Open University of Indonesia, and Professor Naveed Malik, who is Rector of the Virtual University of Pakistan. Bye-bye.